Big news out of Canada today. Justin Trudeau announced that he will be stepping down as both the leader of the Liberal Party as well as the Prime Minister. So before we get into the reaction and what's next, if you could walk us through exactly how we got to where we are today.
Absolutely. So Prime Minister Trudeau brought the Liberal Party back to power in 2015 after sort of a decade in the dark ages, or a decade from as third party, and has won 3 subsequent elections since then. The last one in our parliamentary system was a minority government, and he's actually been able to steer this as the longest lasting minority parliament in Canadian history. The interesting thing in a minority government is, unlike in the US where there's a fixed election date, the government can fall at any time, meaning an election is always sort of possible at any moment. So everybody has to sort of be on their toes. He has been successful in negotiating with the opposition parties, sort of deals and whatnot to keep going. But in the last year, 18 months, we have seen his population in the polls sort of plummeting. And we are now at the lowest that the Liberals have probably ever polled in modern history.
That's really interesting that everyone has to be on their toes in Canadian government. So you're saying Prime Minister Trudeau was on his toes. This is what he said in his announcement. It's become obvious to me with the internal battles that I cannot be the one to carry the Liberal standard into the next election. So you're saying before he was the one who brought the Liberal Party into power. Now he's not popular within his party. So what happened within the past 18 months or so that made that so?
So yeah, the Canadian public have become increasingly sort of disillusioned with Trudeau. I think what the Liberals and Trudeau failed to do after COVID was to really catch the mood of the nation had shifted. It was no longer sunny ways and optimism and hope. People were really feeling the pinch of the economy. They were exhausted from COVID, and they were looking for someone to really more reflect their feelings. And he was a little bit late changing tone. Tried to do it in the last year, but a little bit too little, too late. Whereas the opposition leader has been very successful in tapping into that sentiment, which I think is also we have south of the border in the United States a similar dynamic. So Trudeau's messaging was off. He's been plummeting. He probably should have called a leadership, over a year ago when we saw the numbers tanking. He held on longer, hoping there would be a rebound. And what we have now is a really unfortunate situation where Canada and the governing party will be doing an internal leadership race at the same time that they should really be focused on Canada-US relations and the incoming U.S. president and the threats of tariffs that he has raised. So it's a really bad timing to be doing internal party politics.